I'm sure you remember a man by the name of Madison Cawthorn. He was a Republican congressman and time again said outrageous things and did outrageous things. The Republican Party didn't seem to care until a clip went viral that was very embarrassing for the party, where Cawthorn was talking about cocaine fueled orgies or something to that effect. Republican orgies and cocaine and all sorts of different wild things. And that seemed to be the line that Cawthorn crossed, and the Republican establishment turned on him and shoved him out of the party. He's no longer a congressman. Well, we've found the line that Matt Gaetz crossed. This is the red line for the Republican establishment, and that is very clear in the form of his ouster of Kevin McCarthy. Matt Gaetz is, even though others went along with it, the reason for Kevin McCarthy being ousted. He led the charge. And it's interesting to see now people coming out of the woodwork saying things about Matt Gaetz that they weren't saying before, now that they're very upset with him for both ousting Kevin McCarthy and also just the embarrassing, chaotic moment that this has now caused. And a lot of Americans are seeing that and thinking, my goodness, I got a text this morning from a friend saying, the Republican Party just looks like a disaster right now, and they're sort of a moderate kind of centrist. And that's exactly the case. And Republicans get that, and they're annoyed at Matt Gaetz for that. So we're getting moments like this where a little bit of dirt is being shared, this time by Republican Senator Markwayne Mullin, saying, hey, whenever there was the news of a sex trafficking investigation into Matt Gaetz, him potentially having sex with an underage girl and bringing her across state lines for the purposes of sex. To be accurate, that investigation never led to criminal charges. But Markwayne Mullin here says when that came up, the reason why no one defended Matt Gaetz is because we knew who he was.
Do you think that there should be any action taken against Matt Gaetz?
That's up to the House. I'm not over there, so I'll let them work it out. But as far as Matt Gaetz himself, you got to think about this guy. This is a guy that the media didn't give a time of day to after he was accused of sleeping with an underage girl. And there's a reason why no one in the conference came and defended him, because we had all seen the videos he was showing on the House floor that all of us had walked away of the girls that he had slept with. He'd brag about how he would crush ED medicine and chase it with an energy drink so he could go all night. This is obviously before he got married. And so when that accusation came out, no one defended him, and then no one on the media would give him a time of the day. All of a sudden, he found fame because he opposed the Speaker of the House back in November, and he's always stayed there. And he was never going to leave.
So it is accurate to say that all of this for Matt Gaetz is about getting attention. 100%. His own notoriety, trying to get in the headlines, trying to get the interviews. Interesting that Markwayne Mullin now is telling the stories that he has of Matt Gaetz. We've heard this before on the part of Gaetz going around and showing inappropriate videos to people on the House floor. And also, I guess Markwayne Mullin is saying that Matt Gaetz has told stories of crushing up erectile dysfunction medication and downing it with an energy drink for the night. So there's that. But we see this. Whenever individuals like Matt Gaetz time and time again do things that are so wrong, so dishonest, so dangerous, there's silence until certain lines are crossed for Republicans that never make a whole lot of sense. That this is the line that now is making Markwayne Mullin talk about the low character of Matt Gaetz. Why not the election denying? Why not the calls to defund the investigations into Donald Trump, the undermining of the rule of law? All those things that are so important never matter to people like Markwayne Mullin, and they're in line with. But then, as we saw yesterday with some other Republicans, it is the crossing of the establishment, Kevin McCarthy, and the embarrassing moment that that's created that does it for them. That's when they'll reveal these stories. Here's more from a different interview with Markwayne Mullin.
It wasn't too long ago that no one would even touch him because he was being accused of sleeping with underage girls, which honestly, there was no colleagues that came out and defended him because, quite frankly, the stuff that he would show on the floor and the stuff he would brag about on the floor before he was married, we probably thought, well, that's reasonable, and we would always have to walk away from him. And so this individual that you have here, I don't think what he's done is something to be expelled, but this is something that his constituents back in Florida should make a hard look at. I mean, there was many times that he would go out on news programs in the evening, and he would tell me personally, hey, I've got to go sell my constituent catheters, because all he was doing was selling himself, and evidently his constituent base is.
So I do predict a Cawthorn-like situation arising because of this. It seems a lot of people are really unhappy with Matt Gaetz over the ouster of Kevin McCarthy, which makes sense. It does. But as always, similar to when we say, why did this person wait to put this important detail in a book years after a particular event? Or why did they wait to speak out about someone until lots of people were speaking out against that person? Some of these things you wish they could have talked about earlier, or just called out Matt Gaetz for his low character right whenever you witnessed it, observed it. Here was, by the way, Mark Short, the former chief of staff to Mike Pence, also saying this.
Really aren't, Jake. I mean, Matt Gaetz, to say he came here as a fiscal crusader, it's more likely he came here for the teenage interns on Capitol Hill, to be honest.
Why, by the way, are there teenage interns on Capitol Hill? But, point taken. By the way, fun announcement, and I'll reference this article for the point I want to make here. LukeBeasleyShow.com/news. A whole new version of the show being delivered to you in written form. Articles, news, very exciting. Again, LukeBeasleyShow.com/news. And Josiah's crushing it over there. As the MAGA circus tent collapses, Josiah wrote, Joe Biden delivers. And this is so important to remember. He walks through how the first 10 medications that Medicare will be negotiating the prices of because of the Inflation Reduction Act, those are being rolled out, and the deadline has passed for these companies behind these 10 medications to come to the table, and they're coming to negotiate. And so now, for the first time, Medicare will be able to negotiate down these prices with these companies to the benefit of the American taxpayer, specifically Medicare recipients. So that's what Biden's up to while this debacle plays out. While Republicans can't even choose who's going to lead the party in the House, Democrats are actually achieving things. Biden also rolled out more debt forgiveness for student borrowers. Actual achievement, steps being taken to benefit people's lives. Meanwhile, as Josiah worded it, a MAGA circus tent is collapsing. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to be a part of what makes this show possible, plus get access to the full video version of the show and get a bonus show on the weekends, you can do so by going to LukeBeasleyShow.com/membership. That's LukeBeasleyShow.com/membership, and there's a link in the description.